And we are live, coming to you from the heartland, ladies and gentlemen, the heartland of America, from my heart to yours. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Thanks for being here on the Christian Whistleblower channel. Thanks for being here at the home of the Unindoctrinator podcast. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. People in the chat room saying that their families now think they're crazy because they watch, because they share. Well, folks, the simple explanation is that you are, according to the standards of this world, you are crazy. And today we're talking about Mary, Mary, Jesus, Jeebus, Jeebus. I almost said it. We don't want to say those words because they are magic words and they do bring in powers, blood magic powers. So we're avoiding that. But we are living in a world today where we are crazy by the definition of the term as used by the general paradigm, because we're actually here talking about things today that prove that the dominant culture, and Tracy says it's some of y'all are crazy according to her standards too. The dominant culture, the dominant religion, the dominant paradigm of this world is false. It's phony. And we have bought into it for some 2,000 years. And the funniest part is not only that it's phony, but that they've told us it was phony from the beginning. And we are still fighting with the revelation of its phoniness, if that's a word. One thing that's not phony is C60 purple power. It is, ladies and gentlemen, the fountain of youth. It's also the best antioxidant out there. Get some C60 purple power, and you won't worry about any of these other C things that are floating around. Go to c60purplepower.com. Use TCW10 and get 10% off. It's not the least expensive stuff. It's just the best. This is what Cliff High said that kept him and his wife alive, and it's doing great stuff for me. That's all I've got to say. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, folks. And we're coming to you today from my good friend Joseph Atwill's book, Caesar's Messiah. We've had Joseph on a few times. We're going to have him on a few more times. And we're breaking down things that you can't possibly break down in a video, in a few videos. We're breaking them down over many videos. And this is one of them, Mary, Mary, and I would add Jeebus, Jeebus as well, folks. And we're going to pick up some writings of Josephus. And if you've been following this channel at all, you know that Josephus wrote a book called The History of the Jews. And his name was Flavius Josephus because he was adopted by the Roman emperors. And he also wrote the New Testament. He was one of the teams of the authors that wrote the Roman Testament, New Testament, Roman-tary, New Testament, Roman Testament. I keep looking in the chat room, getting distracted. But he wrote the New Testament, which is the Roman Testament. He wrote the Roman Testament, which is the New Testament. And he was relating this one particular story, ladies and gentlemen. And he said the story was portentous to posterity. Now, we don't always speak in those types of words anymore. And something that is portentous is something that is of great importance. And Josephus felt that he was recording something of noteworthy importance that should have attention drawn to it. He told us, hey, look, I'm about to write something that's very important. And then he went and he wrote it. And not only did he tell us that it was something that was of great importance, but he told us that it was something of great importance, not only for the people listening then, which of course it was, as we'll see, but it was of even greater importance to those that are in posterity, portentous to posterity. Whose posterity? That's you. Whose posterity? That's me. Whose posterity? That's us. Posterity is future generations of people, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. So Josephus wrote something very important to future generations, and he was writing what he felt was something especially important to coming generations. We are those generations, folks. And he writes of a certain woman whose name was Mary, who dwelt beyond the Jordan. And I could probably share an hour's worth of information just on those few words. and we'll try not to. But she was named Mary. She dwelt beyond Jordan, and she was trapped inside the besieged Jerusalem when Titus's armies were surrounding Jerusalem, when they had cut off all of the water, they'd cut off all of the food, they'd cut off all the sanitation, and to say things were bad inside Jerusalem would be a woeful, woeful understatement. But this certain woman named Mary, who dwelt beyond the Jordan, was inside the besieged Jerusalem. Now, notice a few things. And when you're reading these scriptures, if you're going to read these scriptures, and it is a script, you can be sure. In the Roman Testament and the Jewish Testament, that's what the Old Testament is. It's the Jewish Testament. Let's just be honest. You got the Jewish Testament and you've got the Roman Testament, and it makes Christians. Figure that one out. But if you're going to read the Jewish Testament, I just put the post. Someone says, can you post a website for the purple stuff here? It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen right now as we speak. Right now as we speak, it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Thank you for asking. Now, we've got to learn when you're reading, if you're going to read the Roman Testament, to be frank, most of you shouldn't read it. If you're going to read the Jewish Testament, to be frank, most of you shouldn't read it. You just shouldn't read it. You shouldn't read porn. You shouldn't read the Roman Testament. You shouldn't read porn. You shouldn't read the Jewish Testament. It's dangerous. It's meant to be dangerous. It's written to be dangerous. It's written to be captivating. It's written to be deceptive. And it's written to draw you in. It's like quicksand. You think a little dab will do you, then you're a little dab deeper and a little dab deeper, and then all of a sudden it's blog, 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 blog. Most of you shouldn't read the Bible. Let's just be honest. But some of you are intrepid researchers, some of you are scholars, and some of you are getting out of the matrix, and you want to read it. So if you're going to read it, and Jama just made a great point, it's written to cause insanity. It really is. It's written to cause insanity. But if you're going to read it, you need to learn to recognize things. First of all, you need to recognize that it's written to keep you locked within the fear and guilt, blood magic control matrix. It's written to deceive you. And only because of natural law, which I'm going to start talking about, only because of natural law does it contain the keys to set you free. But only because it has to, and they're deeply encoded, and they're deeply hidden. And Harry just hit the nail on the head. It's a black comedy, but you've got to learn to see these things. And it wasn't just Mary living beyond the Jordan. It wasn't just a story. It's a certain Mary. And the fact that it says that she lived beyond the Jordan is very, very significant because it ties her to John the Baptist and it ties her to Jesus. It ties her to John the Baptist in the way that she's announcing that this is a Jebus story. And it ties her to Jebus because she's telling a Jebus story. You think about the word beyond the Jordan. And when you read it, it kind of hits you. If you have any type of spiritual sensibility about you at all, it kind of strikes you as, that's weird. A certain Mary who lived beyond the Jordan. Just the language of it is kind of odd. It's kind of weird. And you need to learn to listen to those little jabs of weirdness, those little jabs of what is that? Those little jabs of that doesn't quite add up. That's called your blink. And I need to go back and talk about that. It's been a long time. But you need to learn to listen to those things and watch those things because those things, well, Jeff, those are just little things. Yeah, but the little things are the big things. And that's what we forget. I'll give you an example of why who lived beyond the Jordan is a big thing. It gives you context. Look at this right here. Mary, a certain Mary, lived beyond the Jordan. Yes, so what, Jeff? Well, watch this. Here's why it is something worth your consideration. It's something that if you're going to understand this, if you insist on reading it, you need to be able to understand it. Look at this. John 1:28, I think it is. Yeah. These things were done beyond the Jordan, where John was baptizing. This whole thing is about John the Baptist and the appearance of the Christ, the fake plastic Jeebus. Where were these things done? These things were done beyond the Jordan. Where is this certain Mary from? She's from beyond the Jordan. She's from the beginning of where the lies started. And this shows you that this is more of the beginning. This is more of the lies. It's also over in John chapter 10 in verse number 40. And I'll show you that one as well. John 10:40. And they went away again. Where? They went beyond the Jordan to where the place that John first baptized and where plastic Jeebus was first announced. So this whole thing is meant to tie back together. This Mary wasn't just any Mary. She was a certain Mary. Why was she a certain Mary? Because she was a certain Mary that had deep connections to John the Baptist and to plastic Jeebus. And that this was a message about her that is of huge importance to posterity, that is future generations, which is you and me. You see how that all ties together? And I hope that many of you are getting yourselves equipped to be able to do that. But that's what it takes if you're going to read this thing and not wind up in somebody's silly cult. I'm just saying. All righty, so let's continue on. It's a certain Mary. She is tied to John the Baptist. She is tied to plastic Jeebus, and this is a very, very important message. Now, this gets a little bit graphic, and we've already told YouTube that this is not a channel for children. So use your discernment. It might be earmuffs time. It might not. I don't know how you raise your kids. But this certain Mary from beyond the Jordan, with ties to John the Baptist, with ties to plastic Jeebus, she snatched up her son. And she said, son, you'll never survive this famine. So she snatched him up and she said, son, you'll never survive this famine. She said, son, you're never going to survive what's happening here at the destruction of Jerusalem. Keep this in mind. Therefore, she decided to make him food. Food, like you eat. She decided to make him food. He wasn't going to make it through the war in Jerusalem. So she decided to make him food, which would make him a fury to the Jews. The Jews would be furious about it. And it would make him a myth that would spread and eventually control the entire world. So then she slew her son. She killed him. And she roasted him like a chestnut over an open fire at Christmas time. Think of it. All these things are connected. They're all connected. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Dare I? Sure, why not? Jeebus roasting on an open fire. Hot flames licking at his little Jeebus toes. And then she ate the son. Oh, that's gross. I'm glad you think it is. Keep that in mind. She ate half of them, but the other half has never yet been told. Does that strike a bell to you? The other half has never yet been told. Does that strike a bell with anyone? And the other half has never yet been told. The half of which has never yet been told. Does that strike a chord with anybody? Let's see how good Bible Hub is. See if they can pull that up, because that's a scripture. Never yet been told. Joy unspeakable, full of glory. The half of which has never yet been told. They won't pull that. Maybe it's just a hymn. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's tied within Christian mindset. Maybe I should stop saying Christian. Exgen is what I'm going to say from now on. Exgen. Because there's an X-T-I-A-N. So she slew her son, roasted him on an open fire of dung, by the way. Interesting point. Ate half of them, kept the other half, because the other half, we don't even know what's been told. And this is deeply symbolic and portentous to posterity. Let's decode this, shall we? I hope this is where we went to decode it. Yes, it is. Let's decode this, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. Let's decode this, shall we? Mary's son was snatched up. Plastic Jesus was snatched up in crucifixion. Mary's son, well, let me go back. Mary said to her son, "You will never survive this war and famine." Rome knew, and Rome told us that the teachings of, if there was such, the teachings of Paul, the teachings of this guy, they were never going to survive. But Rome decided to make them survive so they could use them. The teachings of Paul, of the original plastic Jesus, the opposing teachings to Paul, they were never going to survive. But Rome decided they were going to survive. So that's our first little thing. And then Jebus was snatched up in crucifixion. Mary's son was snatched up in crucifixion. Jebus has become food. Plastic Jesus is food, and you Christians eat him, and you eat him all the time. To you Christians, Jebus is finger licking good. You have him in communion, finger licking good. You have him in the Eucharist, finger licking good. Fresh meat. You do it. I'm gross. You're the ones that do it. He said, if you don't eat my flesh, if you don't drink my blood, you got no part in me. He said, my flesh is meat indeed. My blood is drink indeed. Let's partay. That's what he said. That's what he said. He said, do it often and remember him. Eat me all the time. Eat me long time, Joe. That's what he said. You can't blame it on me. He became a food. And Jebus is a fury to the Jews. Jews don't like Jebus. It's true. He's a fury to them. And Jebus has become perhaps the most enduring myth in all of the world of all times. And it's that myth that you're still locked into in a fear and guilt, blood magic control matrix relationship. And you're on the wrong side of that relationship, may I add, as well. And if you want help getting out of that relationship, I've got some things that can help you along with the C60. The Mystech can help you. You know, we opened up for calls the other day, and one of the first ones was a troll call, trolling about, oh, Jeff and your magic bracelets. Well, I'm sorry, but they are magic. Anything that seems to defy the laws of pinhead individuals is ascribed magical powers, but they just work because they work. We got blood tests that show they work. We got EMF tests that show they work. We got Carillion photography that shows they work, but you don't have to have them. You don't have to go to Jeffrey Daugherty. .com. You don't have to click on the Mystech logo. You don't have to save 20%. You don't have to be at the original Schumann resonance of the earth. You don't have to have your blood flowing powerfully without pathogens and without the sticky blood syndrome, which causes people to get sick. You don't have to have that. You don't have to have your cells in harmony. You can keep your cells in chaos. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to have that. You don't have to be healthy. But if you want to, it's there for you. And it's available to you at jeffreydaugherty.com at a 20% discount. So he is the most enduring myth of all times. And then Mary, the mother, just like the father, you know, the one you worship, the one you love, the one that you listen to, the one that you think is so great. Well, just like Mary, the mother, just like the father, Mary, the mother, slew her son. Your God, your identity. That's interesting because identity would be like Denison, which is like a demon, and it's a cross between divinity and deity. So your identity, I like that. Identity, Denison, deity, divinity, Denison. Your identity killed his own son. Mary killed her own son. Moral equivalence. And did you notice that Mary roasted her son? Did you notice that Mary roasted her son? Does that bring up anything? Does that click in anybody's mind? She roasted her son. She roasted her son. Isn't that interesting? She actually roasted her son, ladies and gentlemen. And let me find what I'm looking for. Doggone it. I put down the wrong scripture. Roasted wasn't used just by roasted wasn't used just 6:1-8. It wasn't. I just put 6:8. It wasn't used out of with no thing in mind. Deuteronomy 6:1-8. My bad. Sorry, folks. I don't often miss the scripture up there, but I missed that one. Deuteronomy 6:1-8. Roasted wasn't just picked out of the air. It was picked to draw your mind to Deuteronomy 6:1-8, where it talks about how you prepare the Passover lamb. And it says that the Passover lamb shall be roasted, ladies and gentlemen. And I still can't find the exact word. I want to show it to you. Roast the Passover lamb verse. Where's the damn verse? Roast the Passover lamb. It clearly says it. There it is. Exodus 12:8. Sorry. Holy crap. That took a minute. When you do this as much as I do, sometimes you make mistakes and you don't get them all lined up, and I apologize for that. But they use roasted because they use roasted about the Passover lamb. This is a direct tie between Mary's son and Plastic Jeebus, the Passover lamb. Mary's son was roasted just like the Passover lamb is roasted. In fact, Mary, in effect, had the very first communion. Mary had the very first Christian Eucharist, the very first combination of the Passover and Christianity right there in Jerusalem. She had the first Eucharist. She had the first communion after she had the first Passover. First, she had the first Passover. She roasted her son like the Passover lamb was to be roasted, and then she ate him just like you eat them in communion. But the half of which has never been told. Not all the stories known. The half of which has been concealed. You know which half has been concealed? The half of this story that's been concealed is that this religion, this Old Testament, New Testament, Jewish Testament, Roman Testament religion has been eating children since day one. I showed you on this channel years ago, and it's probably time to bring that back out, that the whole Cain and Abel story is a human sacrifice, a sacrifice of a child that the God of the Bible willingly accepted. That's the story that's the half that's been concealed. Until now, we're unconcealing it. And the other part of the half that's been concealed is that they're still doing it today. They want you to believe that there's a few rogue priests. They want you to believe that there's a few rogue pastors. They want you to believe there's a few rogue leaders. No. It's part and parcel of the doctrine of Christianity, of Judaism, of Islam, of Abrahamic religion to kill, eat, and abuse children. That's just the way it is. And the half has been concealed, and it's just now the little bit of the iceberg that we're beginning to see. We haven't seen the tip of the iceberg yet as far as this monstrosity goes. We're maybe 6 or 8 snowflakes deep on the top of the snow that's on top of the ice that makes the iceberg. There's a lot more revelation to go. There's a lot more rest to go. There's a lot more understanding to go. You Roman Protestants, get ready. More is coming. I mean, the Pope's personal assistant, 34-year-old lady, just got pregnant and happened to wind up dead in her apartment. You Roman Protestants, get ready. More of pastor doing bad things to children. More of pastor doing bad things to women. More of pastor doing bad things to little boys. Get ready. It's coming. The half has been concealed, but it's about to be unconcealed. And you know it's going to be unconcealed here, and you know it's going to be unconcealed other places, because we're starting something here, starting something that's going to keep on. It's a gift that's going to keep on giving. The gift of unindoctrination, ladies and gentlemen. Brought to you by Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. So nice to be at your service. And then Mary gets caught doing what she did. Of course, she meant to get caught the whole time. And she says, "This is my own son. See what I did to him." You can hear the father character of the Bible saying the same thing. The father character in John chapter 3 basically brags about killing his own son. You know, a lot of people will ask, what kind of a God kills his own son? I have a son. And I'm not killing my son for any of y'all bitches. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I have a son. And to look into myself and to ponder what it would take for me to kill my son, it's unfathomable. And I'm just a human. The thing you worship wants you to believe he killed his own son. And it's, hey, no big deal. Mary's basically saying, because remember the Romans wrote this for posterity. She's saying, look, what's the big deal? Yeah, he's my son. Yeah, I killed him. But the God you worship killed his. What's the big deal? And then she turns the black humor up a notch. She says, look, that father that you worship, that father that you listen to, that father that you get messages from, that Father God, I give all thanks and praise to thee, Faber rod. My hands I humbly raise to thee because you got a friggin' gun pointed at me. It's a hymn. She turns up the black comedy. Oh, you're going to arrest me? You're going to judge me for killing my son? The father you worship roasted his son over an open fire, said eat him as a Passover lamb, said eat him as a communion, says eat him as a Eucharist. She just says, well, I'll just be like the father. Come eat of my food. And then she adds, don't be shy. I, his mother, killed him. Who could be more tender than a mother? Apparently not in this sick story, a father. They killed the guy that you claim to worship, and they brag about it, and you still, not only do you worship them, you invite them into your heart. Bad move. I would recommend you undo that move. Bad move. Jeff, it sounds kind of, I'm not convinced. Really? Okay, well, the Romans thought you might not be convinced yet either, so they wanted to just push it a little bit more over the tippity top for you guys. So not only was Mary in this story, a certain Mary, hello dummies, it's a certain Mary. Not only was the certain Mary from beyond the Jordan, hello dummies, just like John the Baptist, hello dummies, just like Jebus. So not only was this certain Mary from beyond the Jordan, but she also was from the village of Beth Izob. She was from the village of Beth Ezab. Do you know what Beth Ezab means in Hebrew? Do you know what Beth Ezab means? Literally, the house of hyssop. Hyssop. That rings a bell. Hyssop. I remember reading about hyssop somewhere. Where did I read? Oh, yeah, it was in Exodus, chapter 12, verse 22, 222. I read about that in Exodus. Take a cluster of hyssop. Oh, she's from the house of hyssop. Take a cluster of hyssop, dip it into the blood in the basin from the lamb, from her son that she killed. Brush the top and the two side posts. It makes the whole rugged cross. Touch the brush to the top of the two side posts of the door frame with the blood. It's an unmistakable reference to Passover. Another tie-in, Passover lamb, roasted lamb, house of hyssop, eat it. It's an unmistakable passage, an unmistakable parallel to the Jebus, plastic Jebus mythos. But wait, there's more. Because you think about Jebus and you think about death and you think about eating, this is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. Just the first part will blow your mind, but the deeper part would really blow your mind. It literally might make your head come off. So it also told us in this passage in the Wars of the Jews, written by Josephus, that Mary's father was named Eleazar. Do you know what Eleazar is in Greek? Lazarus, as in, Lazarus, come forth. And I will show you in the coming days and weeks that when Lazarus came forth, they ate him. It's another tie-in to this whole eating, vampiristic, zombie-like, cannibalistic craziness that you call the one true faith. You guys are a special kind of special. That's all I've got to say. You guys are a special kind of special. It's just yet another Jebus tie-in, should you not be yet convinced. And just from good measure, this Mary and the Mary in the Roman Testament are the only two Marys in all of Roman literature to have said to have had their hearts pierced through. Mary had her heart pierced through from little baby Jesus, baby Jebus. And this Mary had her heart pierced through as well. People that had read both Josephus and had read the Roman Testament and had read the Jewish Testament, they can't miss these parallels because they read this stuff. You claim to be scholars. You claim to be scholarly people. You claim to have read all this stuff, and yet somehow you still miss it. Somebody's not telling the truth. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, not you cousins, but everybody else, can't you just admit that you really aren't the Bible scholars that you claim to be? You haven't really read it. Even you that are on YouTube acting like you're gurus and having all these channels and having all these subscribers, you haven't even studied the scriptures. It's a script. Be sure. And you act like you've read them, but you haven't. And it doesn't matter because even if you, so I guess that would make you technically ignorant because you don't know. But I'm not going to let you off there. You should know. You've got the ability to read just like Jeffrey Daugherty's got the ability to read. You've got the ability to research just like Jeffrey Daugherty's got the ability to research. And if I'm as stupid and low down and rotten and no good as you say I am, then you certainly should have done what I've done and more, and you haven't. So you're not ignorant. You're stupid. What does stupid mean? Stupid means I have access to the information, but I either choose not to access it or I choose not to believe it, preferring to remain in lies. Because lies make money, don't they, Mr. YouTube producer? Lies make money, don't they, Miss YouTube producer? Shame on you, and even more shame on the people that listen to you and continue to support your garbage. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, with more happy talk for YouTube frauds. Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages, you can't beat that. You can't deny that. It's as plain as the mala around my neck. That's what that scripture is talking about. No doubt about it. Let's go to the chat room. This should be fun. I've talked to you for 36 minutes. Let's go ahead and talk to each other and let me hear from you. Harry Christie says the future sacraments like body and blood. Yes. Sorcha says it's creepy. Yes. Wow. Kirsten says, which Mary is he speaking of? Both. Go both. Both. Wow. Kind of like a Lubbocken from The Witcher, a spirit of a dead child. Yes, Jack. Probably fed it to the people around her. Of course she did. Will it take 4 years to get through 2nd Chronicles? I don't know. It'll take as long as it takes. It'll take as long as it takes. Fed or offered to the Roman guards. Don't get lost in the fact of thinking it was a true story. It's not. It's an analogy. Tracy Dyer says literally no part in him. Eureka, Eucharist. Ooh, you know when you discover something, Eureka. Eucharist. Ooh, I would change that. I'm not going to use that. Jebus doesn't meet the qualifications for the Messiah of Hebrew Scriptures. No, he doesn't. And your rabbi never got back to me, Tracy. Not your rabbi, but that rabbi you told me about never got back to me. But that's okay. That's okay. Let's see. Matt Z. Oh, it's a Mistech reference. Got his Mistech at it for less than 2 weeks. Had to get a level 2. Well, good for you, bro. Appreciate it. Sticky blood syndrome. Well, hobo dickhead. And how come somebody hasn't kicked him out of the channel yet? Well, just because you're stupid and just because your head isn't even as large as the body part that you reference on your stupid meme name, I didn't say sticky blood syndrome. The phlebotomist that did the blood test said it. You got sticky blood. That means your blood's not flowing very well. That means your blood is coagulated. That means your blood is not flowing in a free and healthy manner. It means it's in chaos. And the phlebotomist said, that's how you get sick. That's why you've got these pathogens in your blood. So sticky blood is not my word. That's the word of a professional phlebotomist. And you will never, ever be heard from again on this channel. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Man, there's just a lot of crazy, trolly bullshit in the chat room today. I'm a little surprised. It's craziness. It must be something in the water, huh? Must be something in the water. People be crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Michelle says, good news. One more book I don't need to read. The Bible. Yeah, don't read it. Don't read it. We had the whole talk about people having their families mad at them. That danged old baby Jesus. Yep. How do we know? Let's see. Mary, why you bugging? Oh, that's Run DMC. Sorry. I'm sorry, Casey, that you had someone pass away. That's terrible news. We do share our condolences, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Harry Christie asked, with the shutting down of everything, are we being isolated like Jerusalem was back then? No, I don't think so. And I don't think so because this, I was talking with Cynthia about this. I'm like, oh man, they're going to be, oh yeah, we got Jeebus roasted on a stick. Boom, just like a cross. Great, 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 great. I love it. I love it. It's excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. And not like a Dean Martin roast. No, not like a Dean Martin roast. What was I talking about? Anyway, I get distracted by the chat room that I'm going through. So let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. I would be interested in learning. Well, then email Tracy and she'll give you the information to go see where that's from. Let's see. The smell of fat is what's pleasing to the false god. That's interesting. Is that why they're trying to make everybody fat? That's interesting. And I'm wondering about, hey, Jude. Is there some tie in there to Jeebus? I don't know. I really don't know. Interesting stuff. Just trying to get through this. There's a lot of craziness going on today. In the chat room, and that's okay. The thing I don't like about this stream yard that I'm broadcasting on, I like doing this and showing this, but I don't like not being able to blast a bitch out of existence through that. I got to come over onto the YouTube and find them before I can blast them, which is a little bit irritating to me. A little bit irritating to me, but that's okay. And I just got to try to get these people out of here because it kind of bothers me. But anyway, forget about it. We'll get them later. Let's see. I prefer pig. Ugh. Let's see what else we got. Cain was pissed at Abel sacrificing humanity to his God. Exactly right, Harry Christie. Exactly right. 100%. Is there heaven or hell? If you think there is, absolutely. If you don't, then no. I'm considering if Catholicism actually created Judaism. Yeah, you wonder, the timing isn't right, but then we're not talking. And oh boy, this is good. Tracy, you hit on something that I wasn't quite ready to talk about yet, but it is unmistakably undeniable from Joseph Atwell's research that one thing is for sure. From AD 7, one thing is for sure, Catholicism, i.e. Rome, did create modern Judaism. Rome created rabbinical Judaism, no doubt about it, because AD 70, it was all burnt down. It was over. It was done. There was no Judaism. It was done. It was over. So what happened? A curious thing. And we'll talk about this. A curious thing happened. Rome built some places where the Jews could go and rebuild Judaism. He built them, I don't know what they're called, the Jewish equivalent of monasteries. He built them places like that. He built them colleges. He built them places where they can study. Oh, but you just have to do it our way. So just exactly like Exianity of today is Roman Exianity, the Judaism of today is Roman Judaism. Christianity today and Judaism today bought and paid for by Rome. Literally, they paid them salaries. They paid their food. They gave them places to live. They bought their materials. You guys are going to make 2 new religions. We're going to pay for it. So yes, Catholicism did create modern Judaism. No doubt about it. 100%. Created via the Jesuit sect. I would say that's probably 100% true. Probably 100% true. As I look through this, I see that probably some of the people that I'm upset aren't banned, have already been banned, and I just don't see them on the other side, which is cool. Because I don't like people jacking around with our stuff. But that one just got it. Because I'm not liking what he's dealing with. So interesting stuff. Keep asking these questions. Will we need a CWB glossary? I don't know if we'll need a glossary or not. We might need a glossary. Let's see. We might need a glossary. I don't think so. We might need a glossary. So what else we got over here? Jebus is the son, like sun in the sky of God. Yep, that's true. That is definitely true. They've been eating children since day one. Absolutely 100% true. Created via the Jesuit sect. Okay, now I'm where I want to be. Perfect. The Old Testament has more truth. No, it doesn't. And that person's being hit on this channel forever. Bye-bye. Not true. I hope it all gets unconcealed soon. Well, it's only going to get unconcealed if we insist it gets unconcealed. Why won't people open their eyes to these horrific facts? That's a great question. I really don't know why people won't open their eyes to these horrific facts. I'm doing everything I can to get them to do so. You're doing everything you can to help me get them to do so. And this is where I was before we got lost. I was talking about what before I got lost. Cynthia was talking to me about, I'm like, oh man, they're shutting down this flights, they're shutting down the NBA. And before the end of the week, they'll shut down. The XFL will be shut down. The NHL will be shut down. College basketball said they weren't going to have any fans. They're going to shut down March Madness. It'll all be shut down. Is that terrible? Is that horrible? Well, it's not great, but it's going to be very temporary. By March, by my birthday, May 23rd, it'll all be over. And we can get back to normal. And do you really need the NHL? Do you really need the XFL? Do you really need college basketball? No, you don't. It's okay. Shut some stuff down. Make sure everything gets handled in a rational, reasonable way, and let's get back to business. It's not that big of a deal. It's temporary, and it'll be over soon. So don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. Don't worry. It'll be not a problem, folks. Let's see. What else we got? A certain Mary. Absolutely. See? A certain Mary. Hey, you were right about Titus. Of course I'm right about Titus. I'm right about a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen. Right about a lot of things. Jeffrey, your truth is hella unsettling. And yes, mind-blowing. Thank you for the research. You're welcome. It's what I do, and I appreciate it very, very much that you recognized it. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's see. Come into the light. Let's do it. Hey, you were right about Titus. D's. Thank you. Appreciate that. Wish I knew which Bible has the most truth. Angela. Sweetheart. That's like trying to figure out which comic book has the most truth. None of them. Quit trying to figure it out. You can't figure that out. It's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Jama says she's eating lamb. Yeah, I don't eat meat anymore, so I'm not on that train. Boy, people get crazy. People get crazy quick. They ate Lazarus? Yep, they did. I'll prove it to you later. They ate Lazarus. Does sound like the original Walking Dead. It does sound like the original Walking Dead. Now we're arguing whether gravy's kosher. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. All right. I think we've come to the end. And I love it. It was good stuff. It was interesting stuff. And it just goes to show you cannot make this stuff up and you can't deny it's true. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We're here to remind you, encourage you to unindoctrinate yourself. You don't have original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. You've got the right to life and life more abundant. You've got the right to be divine, sovereign, and free. And you've got the right to peace that passes all understanding, folks. Peace that passes all understanding. Don't you want that? You can have that if you just give up on the fear and guilt, blood magic control matrix. Get rid of the blood poisoning. You can have it. Folks, we are the last generation of real humans, and we can do it. We're in the world changing business. That business is a booming. The world's not bad. And it's not getting worse. It's good. And it's getting better. For Tracy Dyer, our great moderator, and all the other moderators, and for the lovely Cynthia, I salute you for being here, seeking after truth, and let's get busy on indoctrinating ourselves.